Happy Tuesday. If it's Tuesday, it's Jason Sukumel Day. It's time to talk recruiting, time to talk Felix Ojo, time to talk about all kinds of things. How'd your bracket do, by the way, Jason?
Yeah, I didn't even look, Omar. It's pretty bad, I think. My women's bracket was pretty good, though. I nailed all Final Fours, but I did have I had UConn losing to Mississippi State. But my men's bracket, I didn't even look. Put it that way, so I know it wasn't very
Okay,
good.
it wasn't good. I was able to I had Houston and Florida somehow in the finals,
Oh,
Jason.
that's right. Yeah,
But I had Houston winning because I was not going to go against the hometown team.
yeah,
And of course, well, that didn't work out the way I thought it could have.
almost. Yeah.
But on the Houston end. But
Did I
Jason,
tell you the story? No, I'm sorry.
yeah. No. We
Well, I
got
know, like you finished pretty high in our Orange Bloods bracket challenge. Like about 4 or 5 years ago, we did one of those bracket challenges. I remember we had 700 and some odd entrants. Okay, this is a lot. And
wow.
my first weekend was so bad, I never looked at my bracket again. Well, at the end of it, I looked to see who won because I usually give that person like a free 6 months or whatever subscription. And lo and behold, I won the whole damn thing. Like, my first day was so bad, but all my Final Four teams made it, and I hit the thing. So that was my claim to fame on my bracket challenge.
That's pretty impressive, man.
Well, it's
I
pretty
gotta give
dumb
you credit
luck, obviously, because I didn't even keep up with it or didn't remember who I picked. It just,
I've learned with those things, Jason, usually the less you analyze it, the better you do with your brackets. It's when you're like, well, this team played each other twice, and they split the 2 times, blah 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 blah. But you just usually go, I like Gators. Gators are kind of cool. Like I had Gator Tail one time. If you just do it simplistically like that, you actually have way more success.
I used to do a bracket challenge with my neighbor and his wife, and she would win every time. And she was picking like based on colors or mascot names. Like that's how she made her picks, and she would beat us. Like, what the hell, man?
It is literally the way of the world there. That's usually the easiest way to do it. So Jason, I mean, it's April, and I mean, why not just talk about some of these guys and what they're doing? And Felix Ojo continues to be a name that we're going to hear and everything. Now, I read your report where he's narrowed it down to 8, and I'm like, oh God, we're going to be here for a while. But kind of give us like the lay of the land and kind of where the latest where this whole thing is.
Yeah, he's officially had a top 8, I don't know, probably a month or two. I don't remember even when he released it, but it's really not 8. I mean, he's visiting, I think, 5 schools. I mean, it's really Texas. It's Ohio State. Oklahoma's in there a little bit. I guess you could throw Michigan in there, but, he actually is intrigued by Ole Miss. I don't think he'll end up at Ole Miss, but, I actually saw Felix in person this last weekend. Up at the 7-on-7 tournament, OT7 up in Dallas, which is funny, right? A big offensive lineman going to these 7-on-7 tournaments, which is usually quarterbacks, receivers, DBs, tight ends, linebackers. But Felix is up there playing center, which means you don't even snap it in a traditional sense on where you just kind of like you stand up and just toss it to the quarterback. So that was Felix's role, but whatever, he likes to go out there and
like my kids' flag football games.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Felix was out there, and they were getting ready to play a game, and I had something come up on my schedule. So I went all the way up to Dallas, and then I had to rush back to Austin, which is a whole other story. But I said, Felix, I got like a few minutes, dude. Do you mind if I interview you? Like your game's about to start. And he goes, yeah, we're good. So that tells you he doesn't really care about the game. He's like, yeah, come on. When I'm not on the field, I'll come out and we'll do the interview. But, I talked to Felix for quite a while on Saturday. He had just visited Texas last week, which is the big reason I wanted to talk to him. He came up Thursday and Friday. He was accompanied by both of his parents, and his 2 younger brothers were there with him. Thursday, they went to practice. He gets to watch practice, watch everything on the field. Friday, he's in the football offices with Coach Kyle Flood, Coach Sarkisian. He gets to sit in meetings, and he watches the guys lift and do all, just kind of the behind the scenes stuff. Really had a great experience, he said. Really good, productive visit, I think, for Texas. As things stand onward, I mean, he's going to take his official visits in June. Texas has one scheduled for June 13th, of course. I mean, I feel pretty confident in saying this. Texas is the team to beat for Felix Ojo, 5-star offensive lineman Felix Ojo. But it's not set in stone that he's going to be a Texas Longhorn. Like, I was talking to Felix, and I mean, he's pretty open. He's like, yeah, Texas is in a pretty good spot. But he goes, man, everybody like saying I'm for sure going to Texas. He goes, it's not there yet. I mean, I'm still looking at other schools. I'm still talking to other schools. I mean, Felix is, listen, man, he's a 5-star guy. NIL is going to come into play. Different things are going to come into play, but he does like Texas quite a bit.
Yeah, but it's interesting though when you look like at some of the other schools that are in there. It's one of those. I can see why one would say, hey, I don't know. I mean, first and foremost, we still have PTSD as far as Oklahoma is concerned. I mean, that Fasusi thing just happened, right? So you can't discount Oklahoma, and I mean, who knows what they're going to look like after this whole season is concerned, right? But then you have that. Ohio State is Ohio State, and he's got some big boys in there with the Michigans and the Georgias and stuff. Has he talked about visiting those other schools in the spring as well, Jason?
Yeah, I think he's going to Ohio State like in the next couple weeks, and he's been. Sometimes our database isn't always 100% accurate, but yeah, he's got an official visit to Ohio State, but I think he is going up there in a couple weeks. He's been to Michigan a couple times fairly recently. I know he's been to Oklahoma, obviously. So he is taking those visits on more. And I'm not saying those schools, Ohio State's and Michigan's, aren't a threat here. Obviously, Oklahoma's pretty close to home, so I kind of put them in a different category. But in talking to him, I mean, his family, he's really close to his family. I think when push comes to shove, they're going to want him closer to home. I think as long as somebody doesn't come in and money whip him with NIL opportunities or something like that, I do think this is Texas's race to lose. He said, hey, I asked him, I said, about location. He basically said, it's not a huge factor. He goes, yeah, my parents, obviously would love to have me a little closer, and there's something to be said for that. But he said, it's not going to be a deal breaker for me. But sometimes when mama wants you close, Omar, in the end, that makes a difference. That does have an impact. So I do, in the end, think he ends up staying closer to home, which is why I think Texas is in a good spot. One of many reasons I think Texas is in a good spot. I think Oklahoma is in a decent spot. And then I think Ohio State and Michigan, as far as those out-of-state programs, are in a fairly decent spot.
Now, this picture that you got here, Jason, was this when was this taken, Jason?
That was on his visit last week. So that was from like Friday of last week. And you see Felix there in the middle. That's his mom, I guess, standing directly to the left in the picture. Felix is right. You see Kyle Flood. You see his two younger siblings and his dad. So yeah, that was from his visit just last week when he came in for a 2-day visit to Texas.
Is that one of his coaches that are there? Is that one of the on the?
No, I don't know the names. But there's so many damn assistant coaches now, and assistants to the assistants. So those are some Texas staff members.
How big is what's he listed at right now? I mean, he's towering over Flood at this moment.
Yeah, he is. He's listed at 6'7", like about almost 280. He told me when he came in. I think it was for junior day. He measured in at like 6'7", about 270. He had dropped a little bit of weight from playing basketball. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was at the Under Armour camp. Excuse me. So he is. I mean, he's a legit. Someone asked me that this week. Like, hey, is he a legit 6'7"? I'm like, no, he's a legit. I mean, if sometimes guys stretch the truth a little bit, but he's easily 6'6", and I think he probably is. Close to 6'7", 6'6.5" or whatever.
How does he keep? We talked so much last year about Fasusi and and him being that 5-star. How does he compare to what you saw on film with Fasusi last year? What kind of athlete is he?
Yeah, that's a good question. And somebody I think on Orange Bloods asked me that in kind of on the message board. And I'll say this about Michael Fasusi, and I mean you heard me talk about him all year last year. Fasusi to me, and I saw Fasusi at a camp when he was he was like a sophomore year maybe, and even before Michael Fasusi became Michael Fasusi. He wasn't a Rivals 100 guy. He wasn't a 5-star, and I was like, that dude's different. That dude is just different. Okay, Felix Ojo is really, really good, but I mean he's a 5-star. I don't disagree with that. Okay, I think he's a 5-star type player. Is he in Michael Fasusi's category? Not quite, in my opinion. And that's not a knock on Felix Ojo. So to be clear, I just said he's a 5-star
Mhm.
talent. I just think Fasusi was that good. Is that good? I think Fasusi's a once every 10-year type player from what I saw. So, but Felix Ojo, I mean, he moves really well. I've seen him at some of these same camps that I saw Fasusi at, and he dominates the same way Fasusi did. He makes it look easy. I just think Fasusi, just maybe his lower half was a little bit better filled out. Maybe he moves a little bit better than Felix Ojo, although Felix moves pretty well, especially for 6'7". So, but yeah, I would put him just a notch below Michael Fasusi. But again, that's not a knock. I don't want people saying, "Oh, that's a knock on Felix Ojo." It's not. That's like saying, whatever, somebody's a notch below Arch Manning. Well, or a notch below Adrian Peterson. I mean, those guys are elite of the elite. So I view Fasusi in that kind of Adrian Peterson, Arch Manning type mold. Felix is just a notch below that, but still a legitimate 5-star player.
Yeah, no, I mean, legit. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, and I might be no, because they did get Brandon Baker, right? So they have been. I was going to ask you about 5-stars and what Texas has done since that class, and so they basically have had Flood's been able to, if he can get this, would that be his 4th 5-star that he was able to?
I think so. Well, no, Banks ended up not being a 5-star, right? DJ
Not with Rivals. I think he was with someone else, but
yeah, most others I think did have him. So I think if you're taking the
Whoops on Rivals, by the way.
Although, you know what? Hey, I'll say this. I was thinking about this because now Banks is kind of slipping a little bit in the draft. You know, I saw today Mel Kiper has him like 18th. I've seen some that have him tail end of the first round. I think if you're a 5-star in Rivals, like they say, hey, that's like a top 15 pick or something like that. So is Kelvin Banks technically, or did Rivals maybe get it right? I mean, he was ranked.
Well, what's a 4-star then?
Well, no, but he was the highest of hot 4s. He's still like 50th in the country. I mean,
they got it wrong. He's one of the best offensive linemen in the country. Like,
Rivals had him right.
They dinged him because he didn't show up because he played right tackle at
the Under Armour game. Yeah. Well, what they did was stupid is they had him as a 5-star the whole time, and then they dropped him in the very last ranking. Yeah, he finished number 65 nationally. So yeah, they were a little off, but it's not like he's going 5th in the draft either. So I mean, listen.
And to be fair, the things that are said right now are not 100% accurate. Like these are draft people who are going and thinking and saying what they think. And then at the end of the day, these teams are going to do what they want to do, and the results are going to be totally different. So he's in the mix.
Many things can depend on who gets drafted where, and guys can tumble. Yeah, I get it. And
all listen, these mock drafts are BS. I mean,
if he goes 25th, I think that's a mistake. I mean, somebody's getting a steal at 25th or even 18th. But whatever, we're getting a sidetrack. But yeah.
Yeah, no. But mock drafts are BS because they have nothing to account for what teams are actually going to do. These guys don't know. Most mock drafts get blown up after the 3rd or 4th pick. I mean, those guys literally are guessing. Like they think they're taking an educated guess, but it's not. It's good.
Don't tell Alex that.
Well, you know what? How I feel about mock drafts is how I feel about mock drafts and how he probably feels about reporters, right? So,
hey, am I crazy? Like Alex would like hate me if he ever heard this. Like, is the combine overrated? Am I the only one who thinks that? I mean, we look at the film. We know what these guys can do. Do we have to go out there and watch them do every little movement and then analyze every single movement? No, you watch
the Underwear Olympics. It's the Underwear Olympics.
It's so like, I get it. They have to do it, but it's kind of an outdated policy now. It's like you can watch every minute of every game, every snap of these guys. Do you really need to measure every fraction of an inch of their body, at the combine anymore? I don't know, whatever. So
no, I mean, I remember when like Joe Hayden, who's a quarterback from Florida, went to the combine, and everyone was like, "Oh, Joe Hayden's going to be all these things, right?" And then Joe Hayden went out and he ran like a 4.57 or something a really slow time, or 4.52. It was something slow. I maybe in a 4.57. Anyway. Everybody's like, oh, his stock is going to drop. And at the end of the day, he was the 7th pick overall. And you know what? Because at the end of the day, these teams go by the film.
They should.
they don't go 100% off of the combine stuff. So it's cool to get some measurements, but the combine, look, I've written this story. I wrote this story a billion years every year when I was in the NFL. The combine started as a place to get medicals for teams, right? That's really what the crux of the combine is, and that actually ends up being the most important thing about the combine. Is that's where JC, every year you see like a guy has like a heart problem, right? And no one knew that the guy had a heart problem, right? Or there was other injuries that the guy had. That's really what this thing is about. But you have guys who opt out of doing all kinds of things, and they still get drafted pretty high. So no, the combine is 100% overrated.
Okay, well, I'm not alone. Good. So Alex
Senior Bowl matters. Senior Bowl matters, and other things matter. But the only thing that's probably less overrated is a pro day, because that everybody's like, I ran a 4.7 at the combine, but I ran a 4.4 my pro day. Like, all right, dude, I'm good on you. I'm good on you. So Jason, so as relates, so we talked about Felix. It's kind of like then I have to also always ask about John Turntine if that's where we're at as well. What does one affect the other as far as a signing class goes? Like if Felix commits, does Turntine look elsewhere or vice versa? I'm just kind of curious as to how those two kind of mesh. Or could this be a thing where Texas is going hard on both and trying to land both?
Yeah, Texas would love to land both. And Turntine will be in Austin this weekend for a visit. So they'll have their, the things we're talking about Felix Ojo, we'll probably be talking about John Turntine next week. So, they'll try to land both. And I said this morning, someone asked on Orange Bloods, and I said, can they get both? Yes. Would I bet on it? No, I don't think it will happen, but it's possible. But if you ask Felix Ojo or John Turntine, they'll tell you they're not worried about anybody else. They're not worried about who else is in the class. They're going to do their own thing. But, also some common sense goes into this. When you're sitting down, let's say Felix Ojo commits first, and John Turntine sitting down with his family in late July and says, hey, let's make a decision. Like, okay, I love this, and this about Texas, but they got a 5-star offensive lineman, offensive tackle. Like, this other school maybe offers me an easier path to playing time. So, common sense matters in some of these things. We've seen Texas do it before. We talked about Kelvin Banks and DJ Campbell, but that was an offensive tackle and an interior offensive lineman, right? And, some will tell you, hey, Turntine could be an interior offensive lineman, which maybe he will be. But the short answer is yes, Texas is trying to get both. They could get both, but I wouldn't bet on that right now, Anwar. And I thought it was interesting. They did tell Felix Ojo, and listen, there's a little bit of coach speak in this, a little bit of recruiting talk, but they told Felix Ojo, Sark did, according to Felix, on this visit last week, Felix, you are the top player on our board. He didn't say offensive line. Felix said, I was told I'm like the top player on their board, and that he's a franchise player for Texas if he does come to Texas. So, now, to be clear, they may tell Turntine the same thing when he comes in this weekend. They may be telling, Diabell the same thing. So they may be saying that to a number of players. But, they've used pretty strong language with Felix. And when you hear franchise player, you're a franchise player for us if you come in. And they've also done something that I think is pretty smart with Felix Ojo. And this started when he came in, I guess it was for junior day. He came in and they said, hey, we kind of see you in a similar profile to Kelvin Banks. He's a little taller than Kelvin. They said, but in terms of the way you play the game, the way you are in your development, the way our depth chart is going to look when you get here, you're similar to Kelvin Banks in that you can probably come in and play possibly as a true freshman. This time on this last visit last week, they told him similar things. Hey, we see a similar trajectory in development to Kelvin Banks. But they also compared him to Trevor Goosby, which I thought was smart because he gets to see Trevor Goosby in person last week, right? He gets to see him in action. He gets to talk to him. And they were like, hey, you're 6'7". You're kind of built more like Trevor Goosby than you were even Kelvin Banks. Trevor obviously had to be a little more patient in terms of his playing time. But, they're kind of comparing him to that Kelvin Banks, Trevor Goosby model. Makes sense. Banks is about to be a high draft pick. I think we all think Trevor Goosby is going to be a high draft pick if he continues to develop the way we expect him to. So
Mhm.
Felix looks at it like this. Okay, he comes in, he plays. He's got another year of high school. He comes in, and Trevor Gooseby either is entering his second year as a starter at Texas and then probably goes pro, or who knows? Maybe Trevor Gooseby plays 1 year as a starter and goes pro, and then Felix Ojo is coming in with the opportunity possibly to play as a true freshman, if not maybe a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know. The thing is, when we're talking about the NFL, and Benji, give me 1 second here. You talk about the NFL, though. I mean, NFL loves raw upside. So a guy like Gooseby, who's raw after a year as a starter, like you can't discount that. A team may say, you know what, we can mold that. Don't sit there and waste your talents in college. Like, come here. So it'd be interesting. Benji asked you, put a super chat in here, drop a 10 spot. Thank you so much, Benji. He goes, would you evaluate Roseboro over turn time? I think he's maybe asking, how would you evaluate Roseboro over turn time? Seemed like he's leaning towards us as well. Thanks for all the nuggets.
Yeah, I haven't heard he's leaning. He's out of Florida. He's been a tough guy for me. I'll be honest.
What name is he talking about? Who is he talking about, by the way?
Sam Roseboro. He's out of he's Florida, but
Okay.
Hold on a second. Clearwater, Florida. So you know what? I need that dude to come to Texas so I can go to Clearwater. I've always wanted to go to Clearwater, so I need that guy to commit to Texas so I can go down and scout him. So I know he's got family in the area and there's this, that, and the other, but and Texas likes him. But I haven't been told he's leaning towards Texas. But he's kind of a tough kid to read, or he has been for me, to be honest with you. Like, I can't get much out of him. I talk to our people in our connections in Florida. They don't get much out of him. So as far as I go, I haven't communicated with him a lot. Roseboro, and I'll be honest, Ben, I'm sorry, I haven't watched a ton of Sam Roseboro, and I want to see him in person at some point. But the only thing I've got is going by his measurables but he's I don't say smaller. He's like 6'5". He's more compact. He's more in the Kelvin Banks mold than he is Felix Ojo. I mean, Felix is, like I said, legit 6'7". In talking to people in Florida who have seen him in person, who know a lot more than me, they really like him, but he's not in Felix Ojo's stratosphere, if you will. They think he has good upside. They think he's a really good player. He's a Rivals 250 member for a reason, but he's not in that 5-star conversation in talking to people who have seen him in person. I have not seen him in person, so I don't have a great evaluation. I just know his frame's a little bit different than Felix. Like I said, when I saw Felix this last weekend, it was funny because I was talking to a reporter buddy of mine. I go, man, Felix looks really lean. And he did lose weight during basketball season. And this guy was like, you act like this is the first time you've seen Felix Ojo. You've seen him like 10 times. I was like, yeah. But Felix looks like $1 million. 6'7". He's put together really well. There's not a lot of kind of sloppy weight, if you will. He's pretty lean. He's got he will add quite a bit of mass at the college level. He's trying to do that at the high school level. Sam Roseboro, we've got him Rivals has him 6'5", 285. So he's got, like I say, he's kind of more the Kelvin Banks mold in terms of his frame, which is obviously not a bad thing. I mean, when did 6'5" get to be small for an offensive?
I'm like, oh, he's a guard. Like, put him inside.
Like, someone asked about turn time. Like, again, let me look real quick. Turn time, we've got 6'4", 317. They're like, isn't he undersized? I was like, 6'4".
He's a center.
And he's not 317, to be clear. Turn time is probably about 270 now. But it's like 6'4" is undersized for a tackle anymore. But yeah, Roseboro is a little more compact, if you will, than Felix Ojo. But Felix Ojo is really stretched out too. So.
Hey, Jason, the last thing I'm going to ask you, because I got Sark downtown today, so. But I finally get to ask you about a quarterback, Jason. I finally get it, because my favorite subject, Dia Bell, is coming in this weekend, but Payton Houston,
I didn't know where you were going with this one. Yeah, Payton Houston,
2027 guy, is coming in this weekend, and I love talking quarterbacks, Jason. Nothing makes me happier. We know a lot about Dia, but but give us an update on him, and also talk a little bit about Payton Houston as well.
Yeah, both those dudes were at OT7 up in Dallas last week. I saw Dia just for literally like 5 seconds, said, what's up? Like I said, I had to get back to Austin pretty quickly. I didn't get to watch Payton Houston because he was playing later in the day so I didn't get to see him. But I've seen Payton a bunch. I saw him at the Elite 11 camp recently here in Austin, or I say Austin's in Del Valley. Payton's, you see there, 6 foot, 195 pounds. So we're talking about undersized. He is undersized by traditional standards, right? He's not Arch Manning, okay, in terms of his stature.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, Amar, this dude can sling the rock. I mean, he is a number 5 in the country there, a fantastic player. He'll be in Austin this weekend. He's been to Texas numerous times. So, I don't expect any real fireworks out of this visit. But he's pretty open, and I talked to Payton. Obviously, he's a 2027 guy, so he's got a long way to go. There's some chatter that it could come down to Texas or Oklahoma for Payton Houston. I think both those schools are going to be heavily involved, but I'm not discounting anybody else. I mean, LSU, Payton Houston is a guy, you can't see it there because the chat kind of, but he takes a lot of visits. I mean, this is a guy that.
Yeah, I mean, hold on, I could take the chat off. Hold on one second, I got you.
Yeah, okay. If you see the Texas visits, you see the Oklahoma visits. I mean, he's been to Tennessee, and these aren't even all the way updated because a lot of these times unofficial visits don't get entered in there. But Payton Houston is a guy that doesn't spend a lot of Saturdays at home, a lot of weekends at home. I mean, he's almost always on a college campus. So, but you see all the visits to Oklahoma. You see the multiple visits to Texas. You see A&M there. He was at LSU this spring, I know. So I think Texas has a really good shot at Payton Houston. I mean, he loves the development at Texas under A.J. Milwee and Coach Sark. He loves the offense. He's told me, hey, I got a great relationship with those. I think he talks to A.J. Milwee. I think it's every Wednesday they get on the phone and connect. Maybe Thursday, I can't remember. But once a week they get on the phone. They have a scheduled call. The thing about Payton Houston, when does this quarterback situation, when you're recruiting at such a high level, right? I mean, you've got obviously Arch. You got KJ Lacey. You've got Dia Bell. Does he come in and say, hey, man, gosh, that quarterback room is loaded. Am I going to have to sit out a couple of years and bide my time behind those guys? Or, I don't know. I mean, at some point you got to wonder if that's going to make it tough in one cycle anyways. Is it going to make it tough for Texas to recruit quarterbacks at some point? Because you got to have a little bit of separation there. But I don't get the impression that Payton Houston's afraid of competition. I don't think he's afraid of Dia Bell, as good as Dia Bell is. I don't think he's afraid of anybody. Again, undersized dude, but this guy is ultra productive. He had one game on where I think he threw, it was a national record. And if I Google it, I could probably find it. But he threw for, I think it was around 800 yards or maybe a little over, and like 8 touchdowns in one game, dude. It's crazy. It was a national record. So the guy's ultra productive, and I mean, he's just got a fantastic
817 yards,
like 8 or 9 touchdowns, right?
Oh, yeah. wait.
I think it was an overtime game, to be fair, but still,
dude. Well, first of all, okay. Can I just say this? Can I just read there's something called, I guess it's this article, I guess it was a Go Preps or something like that. Okay, let me just read 2 paragraphs here. There is a new single game passing leader in the National Federation of High School Record Books. Second paragraph. Evangel Christian Academy's Payton Houston etched his name into the high school football history on Thursday night, setting a new record, right, by going 53 of 68 for 817 yards and 8 touchdowns in a 77-76 overtime loss.
Yeah, they lost.
I remember that. Wait. I got to see this game. 77-76, and they lost?
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, you say, okay, yeah, he threw the ball 60-something times. He's going to put up big numbers. Well, he's still averaging like 15 yards an attempt or whatever, 13, whatever the math is, 13, 14 yards an attempt on 60-something attempts. So that's crazy, man. But again, ultra productive, really. I mean, Rivals has him top 5 player in the country. And I get it. He's a little bit undersized. You look at him, you're like, okay, that kid, he's not Arch Manning. But, man, every time I've seen him in person throwing and just you look at his stats and everything, the guy's incredible. And I think Texas is right there in the mix for Payton Houston.
No, I'm still stuck on this damn game here, right?
You're gonna go to YouTube and see if you can find that.
I can't imagine what it would be like to set a national record and literally still lose the game. And by first of all, both defenses suck. Can I say that? I don't. Both of these defense are horrible. But
surely Wilt's team won when he scored 100, right? I don't even know. Surely they won that game, right? That'd be like Wilt scoring 100 and losing that game.
Well, the defensive coordinators for both teams need to be just done, right, at that point. But I want to know now. I want to know who the other quarterback was, or running back, or whoever. Like, I want to know who was on the other side of this.
Yeah.
All right.
I swear, no, I think he even ran for some yards in that game, but I think maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, really good player. And like Payton Houston, just an awesome kid, man. But he'll be on campus this weekend with Diabell. Diabell will be in Austin this weekend as well. So pretty big recruiting weekend for Texas.
He had 8 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns.
Okay, that's right. I think he had a couple rushing touchdowns too. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there you go, man. Jason.
10 touchdowns accounted for on
that is. I mean, he should be their all county player of the year, and that whatever that city is all.
They should just go ahead and give it to him for next year, just based on that one game, right?
Just go. So if you're LSU, you got to. There's the pressure. You can't let that guy get out the state, right? Yeah. If you're
LSU's on him, but I'm telling you, he is not locked into staying in state. He's very much open-minded to leaving the state.
Jason, on that note, you get out of here because I got to get out of here. All right, man.
All right, Omar. I will see you online later today, man.
I'll see you later, buddy. Jason Sukermel. If you guys miss anything, pop in, pop back, go back and see this Payton Houston thing, though, y'all. We got to do some research on this. This is crazy. I gotta go back and find out and watch this game. All right, look, Steve Sarkisian is addressing the media today at 11 a.m. So you might have some stuff from the noon show, from the Sark stuff. If I got a chance to give those guys some information. At worst, I'll definitely make sure I hook you guys up and break down everything Sark related. And really, probably this might be the second time he spoke before spring practice. So this is his first time since spring began speaking. So I will have a breakdown of everything that he said tomorrow on the show. All right, man. I've got to get that out of here. So y'all take care. Remember what I always said, live each day like it was your last. One day it will be. Go out and do something special for yourself. And I will see you guys tomorrow.